Sleep is the best nootropic, stress relief, trauma release, recovery tool, immune booster, hormone augmentation, emotional stabilizer, and so many other things. And yet, when we have a health problem, we often turn to expensive supplements, crash diets, and basically anything else besides fixing our bad sleep habits. Taking my sleep seriously earlier this year was one of the best things I've ever done, and I'll be the first to admit I'm still not perfect. But today I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know about perfecting your sleep and give you a toolkit that can seriously change your life. I can vouch these tools will really make a difference even if you only start by implementing one or two of them. I'm going to throw a lot of information at you in this video and I don't want you to get overwhelmed. Start small. If you're new here, hi, my name is Cadence and I'm so happy to have you. On this channel, I share and test evidence-based health and fitness tools so we can reach our goals together. The first tool is morning sunlight. In the first 30 to 60 minutes, ideally after you wake up or as soon as you can, all you've got to do is go outside, look around, and that is morning sunlight. On clear days, we're going for 10 minutes. On cloudy days, we're going for 20 minutes. And on really overcast days, we're going for 30 to 60. But I will be honest with you, I usually just skip on those days. Please do not look at the sun directly. That will hurt your eyes and I will not be responsible. Looking through sunglasses, a window, or a windshield doesn't allow the correct wavelengths to pass through to really see the benefits of this. Now, I can feel you rolling your eyes and deciding you're not going to do this one. And I was in your position. For probably about a year, I ignored this habit that everyone was telling me to start because I thought it can't really be that helpful, can it? And it's like, there's light coming in through the windows. Isn't that fine? It's not fine. So I'm going to list the absolutely incredible benefits both for your sleep and for so many other processes in your body in an attempt to convince you that this is worth your time because it is. Morning sunlight helps to set your circadian clock, which helps us to feel focused during the day, sleepy and relaxed at night, and then get a good night's sleep after that. Exposure to sunlight also aids in your body's ability to produce serotonin, which is often referred to as the happiness hormone. It increases early day cortisol release, but don't freak out. I'm gonna explain why that's a good thing. I know a lot of people are concerned about their cortisol, and for good reason. Chronically elevated levels of cortisol can cause issues, but ideally we want our cortisol to peak earlier in the day to help us feel alert and focus during the daytime and slowly decline throughout the day so that we can feel peaceful and relaxed going into sleep. Elevated levels of cortisol in the evening are one of the signatures of depression, so that is something we want to try to avoid. A morning spike in cortisol can also positively influence your immune system, metabolism, and your ability to focus during the day. Sunlight also helps manage processes like hunger and body temperature. If you do anything from this video, it needs to be morning sunlight. Trust me, I know it sounds annoying, but it's really, really worth it. Over the summer, I had the most gorgeous morning routine. I'd sit on my deck in the 75-degree weather as a cool breeze came across my face. I would journal every morning, and then the weather got cold and I stopped doing it. And I remembered why I started doing it in the first place because it's incredibly beneficial. So now I put on my coat, my Ugg boots, I bundle up and I go sit out there in the 30-degree weather every morning, even though it sucks. Once you're a morning sunlight pro, another way you can optimize your circadian clock is by getting in some afternoon or early evening or even sunset viewing. This is something I'm definitely still working on, but it can be really helpful based on the research. Waking up on a consistent schedule can have such a positive impact on your sleep. I know we all love a good sleep in. I love a good sleep in. I will still take a little bit of a sleep in on the weekends sometimes. But ideally, we would get extra sleep by going to bed earlier rather than sleeping in later and wake up within an hour of our normal bedtime every single morning. Waking up on an inconsistent schedule can have some negative impacts on our sleep, unfortunately. If you're tired, research shows that a 90-minute or less nap is actually fine, so that's another option available to you rather than sleeping in. And I do dabble in the afternoon nap myself. It can also be really important to go to bed when you feel sleepy rather than trying to push through it or stay up later. You know, sometimes we've got deadlines or emergencies or, you know, whatever and need to push through it, but ideally we can go to sleep when we start to feel sleepy and our body will naturally help us to adjust our sleep over time based on our needs. All right, caffeine addicts, listen up. I've got good news and I've got bad news. The good news is, when used effectively, there's evidence that caffeine can improve mental and physical performance and can even be neuroprotective. The bad news is you have to use it right. One of the keys to preventing caffeine from having a negative impact on your sleep is stopping caffeine consumption within 8 to 10 hours or sooner before your bedtime. The reason for this is that because of the half-life of caffeine, small amounts of caffeine remain in our system for several hours after we actually consume it. And unfortunately, it can disrupt our sleep. I'm one of those people that can have a cup of coffee, roll over in bed, and go straight to sleep. Even if that's true for you too, caffeine can and does still have negative impacts on your sleep. If it's unreasonable to stop caffeine 8 to 10 hours before bedtime because of your schedule, stopping it as early as possible will be beneficial. It's my understanding that this can vary from person to person, so it could be helpful to experiment experiment to see what works best for you. Based on my schedule, I know for me, I feel my best if I stop caffeine by 12 or 1 p.m. So that's kind of my cutoff, but this can probably vary person to person. Some days though, that just doesn't happen. We're a work in progress. I'll have a full video about tools for using caffeine safely and effectively coming out soon, so I will link that down below once it's live if you're interested. I'm really excited to tell you about a sleep supplement that has actually changed my life. It's called magnesium L-threonate, also known as magnesium biglycinate. For a while, I was taking melatonin every night to fall asleep, but I struggled still with waking up 2 or 3 times per night. Magnesium L-threonate helps me to fall asleep just like melatonin did, and it helps me to stay asleep throughout the night, which has been so incredible and had such a massive improvement on my quality of life, honestly, being able to sleep through the night. I still occasionally will wake up in the middle of the night, but it is so much less than before. So if you have similar issues, you may want to consider trying it. Of course, consult your doctor. I will link a Huberman Lab toolkit for sleep supplementation down below. Depending on what issue you're having with your sleep, there are different supplements you can consider trying, but magnesium L-threonate is the only one that I have used, so it's the only one that I wanted to share since I do have like personal experience with it. The next tip is to avoid bright overhead lights between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. The idea here is to ideally be in the dark completely, and if you can't, dimming the lights or physically lowering them in the room can be helpful. Once I started dimming and turning off the lights earlier, I found it so much easier to fall asleep. Give it a try. It's literally so easy. Instead of scrolling TikTok with the lights on, scroll TikTok with the lights off. I also like to put a yellow filter on my phone and computer in the evening. There's some evidence that blue light can have a bit of a negative impact on our sleep, so I try to shift away from that into the yellow light side of things. I also have some Google Home compatible light bulbs. They're not the Philips Hue ones because those are really expensive. They're like off-brand ones, but they work with Google Home. They work great. Even though I don't have a dimmer like built into my house, I can dim these light bulbs and I can change the color. So I like to turn them red in the evening and dim them really low, and it just helps me to feel so relaxed in the evenings. The next tip is for everyone who loves naps. I used to be team daily naps, and I realized that was probably because I was getting terrible sleep. Here was the problem though. I would aim for a 20-minute nap, I would snooze my alarm when it went off, and then I would sleep for an hour or 2 hours, and I would wake up feeling like garbage. I've since learned that I was probably experiencing sleep inertia. When you feel this like brain fog and confusion when you wake up, this can be caused by waking up when you're already in a deep state of sleep. It seems like the sweet spot to prevent sleep inertia from napping is keeping your naps to 20 to 25 minutes or less. That way your body doesn't get into a deep enough sleep for you to experience the sleep inertia. It can be helpful to experiment with yourself and see what the ideal nap time is for you, but naps are healthy, normal, and totally fine, and there's evidence that as long as we're keeping them under 90 minutes, they won't have a big negative impact on our sleep. So I'd say that's a win overall for napping. Let's talk about optimizing your room for the best sleep of your life. Research shows we want to sleep in a cool, like 1 to 3 degrees cooler than our normal temperature room that is as dark as possible. So I like to use blackout curtains and a sleeping eye mask for ultimate darkness. One or the other is probably fine in most cases. I keep my room at a crisp 66 degrees, which is really affordable in the winter, saving money on heating, but in the summer I do spend $1 million on it. According to the research though, you can see benefits from even 1 degree cooler than your normal temp, so if you want to save some money, I might shoot for 1 degree rather than 4. If you don't have AC, I feel you. I grew up in a house without AC and it would get so hot, so if you're hearing this, like, that is so annoying. I wish I could turn the temperature down, but I can't. We're in winter here in the US, so you can crack a window if you can, if that'll make things any better. Hopefully that'll get some cooler air in, but I feel you. I really do feel you. I've been there. Alcohol and sleep medications can negatively impact your sleep. This is just an FYI, a friendly PSA. Don't kill the messenger, okay? I'm just giving you some info. We all know how we feel in the morning after a night of drinking, right? It's not good. Even if it's just 1 or 2 glasses of wine for me, I just feel worse. And it was hard for me to put my finger on because I knew I couldn't really be that hungover from not having very much alcohol, but I've since learned the reason is probably because alcohol can degrade your sleep quality significantly. Although alcohol and sleep medications can help you to fall asleep more easily because they are depressants, everything kind of goes downhill once you've fallen asleep. Alcohol and sleep medications, which by the way can often include alcohol, can negatively impact our depth of sleep by reducing the amount of REM sleep that we get. REM is the deepest sleep we have throughout the night and considered to be our restorative sleep, and we definitely don't want to be missing out on any of that. Lastly, our sleep needs can change a lot over time, so listen to your body and adjust accordingly. For example, I noticed a huge change in my sleep needs when I started incorporating more HIIT into my workout routine. HIIT workouts are really demanding in terms of recovery. I don't think I realized quite how demanding they are. I do my HIIT workouts on Fridays. Every Friday night, I want to go to bed at like 9 p.m. and I always sleep in late on Saturday because I'm so exhausted from that HIIT workout, even though I usually am only working for like 5 or 6 minutes max during my HIIT workouts and the rest is rest. If I don't get the extra sleep on the days that I do HIIT, I feel like garbage the next day, so I try to really prioritize it. I'm definitely not perfect, still working on it, but your sleep needs can change within even the same week or can change over time as our life changes. Especially if you're starting a new fitness program, a new diet, or have any big changes in your life, it's really helpful to pay attention and try to adjust accordingly. If you enjoyed this video, the best way to support my channel is give this video a like and hit subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. And I will see you next time.